You guys, welcome to the Odd Couple podcast post Super Bowl edition, and I'm here, Peter Lucas, with the happiest man on the planet right now, in Nathan Thayer, and Nate. I mean, we touched on it on the last episode, but I mean, and I know how it felt the last time that the 49ers. I haven't felt that since '94, but I still remember it. And so I know how it's got to feel, especially this one being in LA. So how do you feeling?
It's unreal, man. Like, you remember too, like in '94, you were sort of like a rebirth for you. We've never really had a birth to start. I mean, we had a little run there in St. Louis for 3-4 seasons. But as far as Los Angeles goes, the Rams in the '70s had some good years, always fell short of the Cowboys or Vikings. The few times they had made the Super Bowl, we've only got the one win, a couple dunks to the Patriots, and then obviously they were the last victim of that '70s Steelers dynasty there. But to get one in LA, that was everything for me. Like, I know you saw me on Facebook. Like, St. Louis was great. I'll be a Rams fan forever. I followed him there for 20 years, but to get one here, I don't even mean in LA for the Super Bowl, just to get a Los Angeles Rams Super Bowl. I've been waiting for this over 40 years, man. So yeah, it was a couple little tears might have fallen out, dude. It might have happened. It was definitely like a down to the knees moment where, like, we're fans enough to do what we're doing right now. Yeah. We're fans. Talk about it nonstop. We're fans have to go on Twitter and IG and everything else about football and talk crap back and forth with our rivals. And then when you finally get it, when you finally get to that point where your team gets it, it's like,
yeah,
that's the thing to wait for, as a fan. So
yeah, and I'll be honest with you. When I was driving to work this morning, I was thinking about that moment. And the last time the 49ers went to the Super Bowl, when actually not the last time the Niners went to the Super Bowl, but the time before that, when Kaepernick got us there, because that was the longest drought and all the bad times that we had from '94 up until that spot. I'll be honest. I mean, we didn't win, but just getting there, I'm not gonna front. I was in the bar. I shed a couple of tears just because it was. I mean, we're like you were talking about. We're fan is not really these guys. We love sports to a point to where it's a part of who we are, and sure. And these teams are a part of who we are. We watch these guys go through their careers and grow from kids to become men and to become end up becoming like old men. Right. So it's watching that maturation process for a lot of these teams, and you just become invested, and it was huge. But I know exactly how you felt, because it was I felt that same thing when we got there, and we didn't win. And one day I'm hopefully that we're gonna win. But I know for you, I want to make sure that you get your just due as being one of the true Ram fans. And I do want to give a shout out to Ramiro de la Cruz and Eli de la Cruz, and there's a couple, and Scott, and I'm sorry, Scott, I can't remember your last name right now, but I'm sure him and his wife are gonna be watching this today, and I just want to make sure that the real Ram fans get their just due for going through all the years and all the bad years. Those are fans, and that's what we do this for.
100%, man. 100%.
Yeah. But so huge game, and I was seeing a lot of stuff on Twitter about the different plays in the game. What did you see being the biggest play? Because I have an idea in my mind of what the biggest play was in that game, and I'm just interested to see if you had the same thought process.
I mean, I don't know a single play. Well, I mean, I'd probably have a couple that I would have tied. I mean, I can't think of any one thing, and I can think of I can think of the plays for both teams. I mean, out of the gate, Rams start hot. Kind of a typical story. We generally come out of the gate fast. We touched on that, I think, on our last podcast. In fact, this game went a lot how we said it was going to go. I think me and you nailed this thing about to the wall. I mean, if you really look at the game. Anyways, we'll get to that later.
Yeah.
But obviously, the deep bomb to start the second half, where Higgins literally pulled Ramsey down by the face mask. I mean, this was one of the most blatant. Two dudes on their own the field. This wasn't a crossing route. There weren't safeties blocking the viewer linebackers. This was a deep bomb in the air where a man got pulled down by his face mask. The ball was caught, and there was no yellow on the ground.
Yeah.
And everybody's just kind of like, wait, what? Hang on. Wait, what? Like, I remember everybody's just kind of like stopping and going, hang on a second. Where is it coming? Where's it at? Where's it?
You always expect to see some. I expected to see a flag against Ramsey just because of the way it looked, the way the play looked, like because they didn't show the close up in the beginning.
And then tie that with the PI that got on Coop. Now, look, the defensive holding was a little weak. He got his arm around him, and with a crew that was calling a game tight, that's a flag for sure. But like we both said last night, if they didn't call the game that tight, clearly there was like 7 penalties between the two teams total, something like that.
Yeah.
The second one, he tackled him mid-route. Now the second one was undeniable, and that was the difference. I mean, to me, that was the biggest play for the Rams. I mean, that drive in general, the Rams had done nothing the entire second half. I mean, nothing. And that drive and that play, I mean, it just kind of was, to me, the biggest sequence of the game. You know, I mean, one big sequence that gave the Bengals their momentum, that had a missed call, and then another sequence that had kind of a soft call and then a good call when the refs hadn't thrown flags all night. So I'm sure everybody on the Twitter universe from Cincinnati or from anywhere who had orange and black on got pissed off. But dude, if any of you Bengal fans out there can look at that play where Higgins catches that bomb and tell me with a straight face sober that was not offensive pass interference, stop watching football, hang it up, you're done, go back to Madden.
Yeah, it was. That play was. I mean, it was obvious that it was a face mask. I'll tell you what my biggest play for that game was the no look to Cooper Kupp. Yeah, I don't know if you even saw the way that he threw it, but the way he went in stride and then the no look and crosser in stride to Cooper Kupp. I felt like that gave you guys some momentum to get down the field. And and it was, I thought that was a major turning point because up to that point, you guys hadn't been getting anything.
Nothing.
And it was, I want to bring this up. I remember telling you that I expected McVay to try and run the ball and try and do use some of that wide zone. And he did. They were just ready for it. It was like I was shocked at how good the run defense was. You
know what, man? If you were my neighbor, you'd know all about the Rams offensive line right now, and there'd be a lot of bad words surrounding it. The Rams offensive line was pathetic, and I mean in every way, shape, and form pathetic. They were so bad that it was because, dude, look. You can scheme your way through anything defensively, but run blocking and run defense is man versus man. Now, you can scheme guys on the blitz, you can run blitz, there are little things you can do to jam it up. I'm not gonna say that there's no strategy that goes in the run defense, but when push comes to shove on a stretch, that's man on man. Period. End of story. That's dudes blocking dudes, guys making blocks or not making blocks. And the Rams offensive line could not block the Vienna Boys Choir last night. They were so bad that they should literally donate their game checks to a charity. That's how bad they were. And God, I wish to God that one could see me say this. They were so bad. It was embarrassing. It was embarrassing for the entire team. I mean, we touched on Hendrickson being a good pass rusher, Hubbard being that meat and potatoes guy, you know, that kind of, I don't know. Well, for me, I'm always going to say like a Grant Wistrom kind of guy, only 6-7 sacks with just effort all the time. But there's not a superstar guy really on that defense. And they absolutely manhandled the Rams. And they're just not that defense. Now from you guys, I expected a little bit, but that was horrific.
Yeah, it was.
Go ahead.
Like what it looked like to me was they were trying to duplicate what the 49ers did, because even in the NFC Championship game, you guys only scored 20.
Right.
You guys only, and like, which in today's NFL isn't a ton of points. No. And like, so I felt to me like they were really trying to duplicate like the way that we were covering. They were cheating up, and I told you that their secondary was going to take a bunch of chances, and that's what they did. They were just going all out against the run. Safeties were coming down. Those linebackers were Logan Wilson. Like that guy. He gained a lot of respect for me in that game.
Oof.
That guy was a monster.
He was everywhere, dude. Everywhere.
It just seemed like, he played almost that Fred Warner role, because he was all over the place, guarding everybody. And did it work out all the time? No. But I was really impressed with that defensive game plan. And they just tried to do what we do, which we're trying to hit you in the mouth, and they wanted to see if the Rams were going to be all about it. And kudos to the Rams is they treated it the same way that they treated us, which they said we're just going to outlast you, and trust in our defense to come through and to hold them, because they know they don't have an offensive line.
Right.
So, and Burrow, they just kept dropping him back with empty sets, and Mixon was just like an afterthought, like for most of the game. And it was just like, I don't think that their defensive game plan was a lot better than their offensive game plan.
Yeah. What was it like on that 1 4th and 1 or whatever it was? They ran Perrine. Like, dude, why on God's green earth is your backup scat back tailback running a 3rd and short? You got a 230-pound beast back there. How in the world is that even happening? Like, you're right. I think Taylor got a little bit deer in the headlights and kind of pulled what McVay pulled in 18, and just sort of went like, And then again, once the 3rd quarter hit and the Rams started overloading that side, and we just started getting, dude, they had 6 sacks in a quarter and a half.
Yeah.
I mean, they beat him to death in that second half. And, we got a better secondary than Tennessee does, I guess. I don't know, because Burrow was not the guy that he was against Tennessee. The beating clearly affected him more.
He did not have time to, and even against Tennessee during the later parts of that game, his offensive line was giving him just enough time to get the ball off. Just like your offensive line in that game was giving Stafford just enough time before the pocket was collapsing, to get those passes off, especially early to OBJ, the couple that he got off to OBJ. And then, of course, later in the game with Cooper Kupp, he had, you got to give your offensive line a little bit of kudos, because they were, granted, they weren't getting blitzed a lot. And then it was almost like they felt the pressure. The Bengals felt the pressure to blitz, because now all of a sudden they go all out on a blitz. And of course, that's when then they get the ball to Cooper Kupp. And kind of the rest is history. But yeah, I thought that they blitzed at terrible times.
Yeah, it wasn't the best calls. For sure, the Bengals definitely had opportunities. There's no question about it. Flags, no flags, calls, no calls. If you look at just the straight up game, really, there was opportunities for both teams. I think that they let the offensive lines both hold a little bit. There was definitely some grabbing and pulling. Because both were really in a lot of ways getting dominated. And it's funny because on my group feed, another group feed that I'm on text wise, I told these guys, I said, this is going to come down to the offensive lines. Bank it. This is like 5 minutes into the first quarter. This is going to come down to the offensive lines. Whoever's blinks first and makes that big mistake or has that bad quarter is going to do it. And really, in the end, I guess the Bengals had a little bit worse of a fourth quarter than ours. As bad as ours was, they just were a little worse. And in the end, our pass rush was able to make the difference that in the end won the game. I mean, remember what we said? I told you there's going to be about a minute 20 left. We're going to be up by a field goal or something that's catchable. And we're going to have to sit there and sweat. And sure as hell, there goes Chase up the sideline. I'm like, and McPherson's been like, that kid could be blindfolded from 59 and hit right now. So all they really had to do was get a little bit over the 50. and they were in business for a very, very good chance to tie this game and have us go to overtime. And I don't know, man. Like I said, the offensive line for the Bengals, they were the last ones to blink, I guess, and it was what it was.
Yeah, honestly, if that pass had been, if they had a little bit more time on the clock, I think Chase tries to cut that back in and tries to run past the safety, because he had enough space to make a move, and and I think that he tries to cut back and run and bust a tackle, but I think because of the time, he had to go out of bounds, and he made the right play. But if you had if there was a little bit more time on the clock, I thought that might have been it might have been a bigger play than it turned out to be.
No, for sure. Like I said, this thing was tight all the way around. I mean, it could have gone either way. For sure. There was no dominant team. You know, even when things looked bad for the Rams, they stayed close. They kept it close. They held them to a field goal off that pick following the infamous face mask, you know, which was huge. Dude, if the Bengals go up 27-13 right there, we got, that's a whole different animal.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, but instead they held them, got a field goal, which was the only productive drive they had besides the very last one, the entire second half.
Yep.
And again, I want to give big props to the Rams D. They were on the field the entire second half. And to be able to make plays at the level that they made with the skill level of that Bengals offense, I mean, you just can't understate it. I mean, wow. That was the defensive performance of the year for the Rams, unquestionably. That last 25 minutes of game clock.
I thought that Aaron Donald should have won the MVP in that game because I felt like he was the true as good of a game, as clutch of play as catches that Cooper Kupp made. I really felt that Aaron Donald was the soul of that team in that game. And he had 2 sacks. I was like, that should be enough to get him the MVP and send him off into the sunset. But that speaking of sending into the sunset.
Oh boy.
So let's talk about what this does for you guys and the Bengals. Well, how the loss is going to affect the Bengals. We know it is. It always affects the team that loses the Super Bowl. For somehow, some way, it's rough on that team the next season.
Right.
How do you think this is going to affect your team with Sean McVay possibly going to TV like they were talking about yesterday? Do you think that's going to happen? And do you think that Aaron Donald actually hangs it up like he was talking about before the game?
I think that Aaron Donald is the biggest shot to actually do something that he's saying he's going to do. He's got every year All-Pro, 3 Defensive Player of the Years. Now he got his ring. There's nothing left for the man to accomplish besides trying to help the Rams have a dynasty. I mean, really, that's the only thing left. That's the only box he has left to check, you know? And I mean, really, you look at McVay, he took a team that, I mean, was just the Rams couldn't get out of there.
Keep talking.
The Rams could not get out of their own way for years. And in the first year he was there, he made them relevant. And they've been relevant ever since. You know, there's been no dip. So, I mean, again, you have to just wonder what these guys' hunger is, how bad they want to do it. You know, I mean, and then if McVay goes, my God, who comes in? Who stays? You know, I mean, they've built this entire thing around a plan that he made with Snead. I mean, that would be catastrophic. I mean, this could be like a straight up Super Bowl to 4-13 kind of thing. I mean, if it went sour enough, you know, I mean, there's nobody on that roster. Let me tell you how many guys Aaron Donald's gotten paid already. All right. He's got Samson Escobar paid. He got Dante Fowler paid. He got Leonard Floyd paid. These were all guys that were middling guys. Fowler was a flat bust. He comes in and has 12 sacks for the Rams and hasn't had more than 3 cents or before. Leonard Floyd, 5'6" guy, couldn't sack guy a year, couldn't do anything opposite Khalil Mack. Comes in with Donald. The dude's 9, 10, 11 sacks.
Yeah.
He's literally, he's made these guys, you know, who they are. And without him taking up all that attention, this Rams defense goes to, I'd say, 23rd, 24th in the league overnight.
I think that is entirely, it leaves just a huge gaping hole. And I look at it almost like, I mean, it's not to your level because because I don't think that Forrest Buckner was quite the player that Aaron Donald is. But when DeForest Buckner when we traded him to the Colts, it left a huge gaping hole in the middle that we were expecting a rookie in Kinlaw to fill. And it's, even though Kinlaw was a first round pick and he has all this talent, he's still a rookie.
Sure.
So it's just, even if you guys had a first round pick, but even if you guys had a first round pick and you decided to put somebody there, or you make a big signing there, it's not going to be Aaron Donald. And I think that is going to be it's a huge culture shift, because I was very impressed by how Aaron Donald did not allow that defensive line and that defense in general to sink into its former ways. You saw they kept panning to the sideline, like showing Aaron Donald rallying the troops together, get this done, like stay focused. That kind of stuff is, when you lose that off of a team, it's going to show. It doesn't matter who tries to step up into that space, like it's not going to be the same.
Right.
I think that's going to be huge. And then McVay, I mean, say what you will about McVay, he brought you guys from, it was like night and day when you brought him in compared to what's it? I can't even remember his name right now. Like
Jeff Fisher.
Yeah, Jeff Fisher. Like, I mean, compared to him, this is like night and day. It's this fresh, young face, and that's got all these new ideas that he stole from Shanahan. Like, he's fresh. He's a coach. He's a player's coach. He got that team believing in itself. And how do you just replace that if he decides? Now, I personally don't think that he's going anywhere.
No,
I don't think he's going anywhere. I think that the TV is going to try and throw some money at him, but I don't think he's going anywhere. I think he's really a football guy at heart. And but Aaron Donald, I think he's done what he came to do. Like, I mean, he's got 3 Defensive Player of the Years.
Yep.
And now he's got a Super Bowl. He was pointing to the ring finger. Like, so for him, what else? What else is there?
Oh, dude. The Hall of Fame's going to tackle him in the hallway the first year he's eligible. I mean, it's not even it's so much of a lock.
And TV's going to
and I want to touch on something else and give you some love here in a minute when we're done with this, because there's a guy I want to bring up that we texted about the other day.
Yeah.
Who didn't get in the Hall of Fame, and I think it's absolute BS because that anyways. So, but yeah, dude, I mean, you're right. I mean, Donald's got nothing left. I mean, he's double, triple teamed, and he's still the most dominant interior lineman we've ever seen play the game. And that's, to say that, I mean, dude, we've been alive. You know, me and you are at the age now where we've watched all the guys that are going into the Hall of Fame play. Yeah. As far as current players, you know, there's the senior guys. Yeah. Any current player that goes in, me and you have been alive to watch every damn one of these guys play.
Yeah.
So, and I mean, and old enough to really remember him too. So, we've seen a lot of great linemen. We've seen a lot of great interior linemen, but I've never seen anything like Aaron Donald. To have him do what he does, taking on what he does, and make everybody around him better. I mean, I've never seen anything like it ever. And I've seen the same guys you've seen a lot of greats, dude. And yeah, speaking for all you Niner fans out there, the Patrick Willis thing pisses me off. That is absolutely effing absurd that this guy, I don't care if he played 5 years.
Yeah.
Let alone he played 7 or 8 years, right?
Yeah, he played, I think it was 7 years. But
this dude was everything on the field that other number 52 was.
Yes.
He was everything on the field that anybody. And then when him and what was the other guy? Bowman. Oh my God, dude. That was stupid. That wasn't even fair. You guys should have been fined for that.
Yeah. I mean, what's funny is that they got Bowman in like the 3rd round.
Yeah.
And and it was because of Willis that he was able to just fly around and do everything. And and sometimes he would get more credit than Willis, but yeah, he was Navarro Bowman was a great player in his own right. But yeah, like you said, Patrick Willis was a prototype. He was a prototypical linebacker that any team, like if you wanted to show how to play the middle linebacker spot, you're gonna show him tape of Patrick Willis. And it was painful. You can't tell me that Sam Mills just like rest in peace that he deserved to be in there before Patrick Willis.
I mean, I think that was more of like a legacy pick. Mills was part of that great Saints D in the 80s when they had Swilling and Ricky Jackson and Vaughn Johnson. Like they had all those guys, and
I get it. But at the same time, I don't think there should have been anybody in front of getting Patrick Willis first ballot.
No,
I mean,
absolutely not.
I didn't think that. I mean, they jacked. They really did T.O. dirty too, and there's a couple of other guys that got. Roger Craig is still not in the hall. Think about that.
Yeah, there's some guy named Torrey Holt that I think maybe should be in there too.
Yeah.
So I mean, they're definitely like they made some picks this year, like Leroy Butler.
Yeah, like that's a borderline.
Okay, I mean, I don't know. I mean, I guess 15 years out, and I guess Mills was due. He retired in like 96, something like that. I know he had a little run there with the Panthers for a couple of years at the end. But anyways, I just wanted to give some love to Patrick Willis because that dude terrorized us and everybody else every year he was in the league. And he definitely should be in there ASAP with Torrey next year.
Yeah, for sure. And I mean, I'm sure all the Niner fans can appreciate that. Like the guys that are going to be watching my page, we appreciate the mention. And like, I mean, it's a little ridiculous. But how do you think this affects the Bengals? Because
I am jealous of the Bengals. They have this roster intact. Now, I don't know what their free agent situation is. I'm not totally up to speed on it, so I'm not going to talk like I am. But dude, if they have 70% of that roster locked up, they got $58 million in cap. The Rams are $13 million over the cap coming into 2023. Or sorry, 2022.
Yeah.
The Bengals have got $58 million to spend. Now I know Paul Brown is kind of famous for treating nickels like manhole covers, but I mean, if they got the money to spend under the cap and you get in the draft, now they're not going to pick till 31st. But still, if they bolster that line a little bit and they can keep 2 of the 3 receivers, because eventually they're going to lose one of them. Chase is there to stay. It'll come down to a decision between Higgins and Boyd at some point. It's just the NFL. It's going to happen. Their wide receiver 4, by the way, Stanley Morgan, University of Nebraska. Don't forget that guy. Anyways, but yeah, dude, I mean, they're set. I mean, again, I'm not totally privy on what their free agent situation looks like or who they're going to have to re-sign or whatever. But if they get somebody to play alongside Jonah Williams there on that line, dude, they're going to have, I think it's going to be like you say about the Seahawks. As long as number 3 standing, they got a shot. And I think as long as Burrow stays upright, you know, you got a changing of the guard in Pittsburgh. You know, the Browns kind of did what the Browns do and made us think about it and then fell back down. The Ravens are consistent as hell. They're a 10, 11, 12 win team every year. You know, at least one Harbaugh was successful.
Yeah. You know.
But anyways, though.
Anyways, I'm gonna allow that.
The point is like the point is this team, you look at it going forward. I mean, what is there not to like?
Yeah, I look at this team, and I still think they have cap space, if I remember correctly.
Like 58 million coming into it. Yeah.
Yeah, they could add some pieces because Burrow's still on his rookie deal. So like they're gonna have space to add pieces, but the issue becomes you still like it took a ridiculous comeback for them to get past KC. Like it took a Tennessee's still going to be there. You got Herbert that is on the up and coming. You got the Ravens. You can't ever count out the Steelers because Tomlin is at the very. I may not agree with all of his roster moves and all that kind of stuff, but the guy, he doesn't have losing seasons. So
not often, no.
Yeah, I don't think he's ever had a losing season.
Oh, really? They never finished under 500?
Yeah, never. It's never happened. Wow. Like, so it's his defense is always going to play, is going to always be there. And all of that team needs, they're much like the 49ers. All they need is a quarterback.
Right.
So you're gonna have Pittsburgh, and then you've got Lamar Jackson, who I know I'm gonna get killed for this on Twitter, but I don't care. I have a lot of faith in Lamar Jackson. I think last season this season that we got a glimpse of what's going to start happening with him. He's going to start getting hurt. They're not going to be able to put the weapons around him because he's about to get paid. And and then they're not going to be able to put the weapons around him that they're going to need for him to be. He needs to be able to just chuck the ball up because he's not really that accurate of a thrower.
Right.
I just don't see them getting that done. The Ravens just have never really had that guy since Anquan Bolden. And I just don't. I don't see how Cincinnati. I think that they got lucky this season, but I thought they caught lightning in a bottle, and I don't think that we see them back for a while.
Really,
I really don't. I just
look
at all the talented quarterbacks in the AFC, and I just as good of a team, as good of receivers as this. We got another offseason and draft to go through. Those other teams are going to get better. They're potentially could get better, and they already have quarterbacks in place. So it's entirely possible that you got Buffalo, they're just banging on the door to try and get through. Yeah. And then you got KC. I mean, Mahomes is just great. So I just don't see it. I don't see it. I think they have a great team. I think they have a great shot at it. I think they're going to try and bolster the offensive line.
You're saying you see them. So you kind of see them as maybe being kind of like a wild card level team, but you're saying to get back to the dance is what you're saying.
Yes, I don't see them getting. I see them potentially getting a wild card spot to get into the playoffs, but I don't see them making it to the Super Bowl again. In the next 2 or 3, 4 years, I don't see it. Just because I don't have any faith in their organization. I think they caught lightning in a bottle. They've got Joe Burrow there, and Joe Burrow willed that team to the dance, and it's going to take more than that to get there a second time because now they're a target.
Yeah, I mean, I get what you're saying. I mean, I thought you meant just completely out of it, but no, seriously, you're saying maybe a 10-11 win, kind of middling wild card kind of team. I got you. So you're not saying a bad team, just sort of but not to get to that top tier again.
Yeah.
I mean, again, I think Brown might be their biggest enemy. He walked Palmer out of town. He walked Dalton out of town. Both playoff quarterbacks. The Bengals haven't been in the playoffs in who knows how long. And both those quarterbacks got them. Now, they were both, first round exits, but they got them in the playoffs a couple times each. They made them at least relevant. if Burrow comes out and throws for 4,900, 40 touchdowns, 7-8 picks next year and has just an off the charts MVP level season, which he's capable of doing. I'm not saying he's going to, but if he does, and Brown's going to sit there and say, well, he's on his rookie deal and he signed a contract. And if Cincinnati fans might actually light the man on fire if that happens, because he's done it to Palmer. He did it to Dalton. And I mean, I feel you on that part of it. Like, they have to get past Paul Brown.
Joe Burrow is better than both of those guys combined. Okay. Like, I think he's better than Palmer. I think he's better than Andy Dalton.
No, I agree 100%. I'm with you 100%.
If he tries to play hardball with Joe Burrow, like they may just riot and just burn that stadium to the ground. Like that is just egregious. I think the NFL may end up taking the franchise away from him if that happens. Like I completely see them. They're going to try and take advantage of his rookie deal, but I just don't see it being enough.
No, absolutely not.
Guys in the division are in that conference they've got so much firepower in that conference that I was shocked that I think we were all shocked that they were there. So, but let's get back to some NFC West. I'm going to say it right now. We are the best division in the NFL.
Absolutely. Top to bottom, no question.
I don't think it's close, to be honest.
Nope.
I think that any given season, whoever comes out of our division is a Super Bowl favorite. And but the first storyline that I want to talk about is this Kyler Murray issue, and it's been all over Twitter the last couple of days. We've been talking about it in Spaces, and he scrubbed his IG clean of Arizona, of all Arizona everything on his IG. So now, like, everybody, the speculation is that he's going to ask for a trade. He doesn't want to be there. They say that he's a finger pointer and that he's not really a team player. He's constantly complaining, and they constantly have to rein him in. What do you think of that? And do you see any realm of possibility where he gets sent packing?
In today's NFL, absolutely. I mean, I don't think anybody's safe. I mean, really, like, if a guy's going to come in and stomp his feet and he doesn't have some sort of Deshaun Watson baggage sitting on his shoulders, then, I mean, if somebody's going to throw 3 ones at him, I have there's nothing that Kyler Murray has done on that team. Don't get me wrong. You play him twice a year. We play him twice a year. Yeah. Defending that guy sucks. We've had a whole lot of success against him, actually. I know you guys have kind of had a mixed bag, but because you guys are so upfield, like, running quarterbacks are kind of your kryptonite a little bit.
Yeah.
But look, I was in the stadium when he absolutely murdered us in week 4. I mean, he was untouchable, on fire, couldn't miss a throw, couldn't be touched. I think we sacked him one time. I mean, I've seen the guy play well, but I just don't. You look at that season they had this year, and really, dude, like, the Rams played 3 quarters of football with Cooper Kupp, Ben Skronek. You guys know who that is? Iron Hands Ben. You guys know who that is? I didn't think so. And Van Jefferson. Tyler Higbee was out. And then we lost Blanton. So all we had left was the tight end 3. That's who the Rams had for the last 3 quarters of that game.
Yeah.
Kyler Murray lost to Hopkins. Look, I'm not understanding how great that guy is. He's probably the best hands in the league. And I'm not taking that away. D-Hop's out of control. But, dude, for one player to make your entire offense implode the way that they did, it's absurd. It's absolutely absurd. This is the NFL, dude. Guys are gonna get hurt all the time. You gotta be able to play. Look,
yeah,
it's one thing to have your starting quarterback go out, especially a dynamic guy like Murray, and expect the guy to come in there and run that offense. What was it, Colt McCoy they got, right, for a backup?
Yeah.
Like,
and he whooped our behinds.
Yeah. But the point is like, such a different quarterback. Guy's obviously in the back nine of his career, but like Murray just doesn't do anything that makes you go, they're ever going to get more than a wild card. We haven't seen it. We have not seen it. And that doesn't mean next year they won't go 15-2, score 600 points and go to the Super Bowl. They might, who knows? But I just haven't seen it. So if the right offer comes on the table and he's that much of a pain in the ass in today's NFL, who's safe? Who's safe?
Yeah.
Tell me who's safe, dude. Besides Patrick Mahomes.
Yeah, exactly. They're never. He's going to be a lifetime Chief.
Right.
But Kyler Murray. I thought it was a mistake. And I'm gonna get roasted again on Twitter for this, but I thought it was a mistake to draft him. I honestly did, because he's short. He can't see over the line. He's like a more athletic Doug Flutie, and that's the way I see him. Except he doesn't have the guts that Doug Flutie has, and that's what I see from him, is that he doesn't have that temperament. His body language is bad. He doesn't have that temperament to, when things go bad, for him to just say, galvanize the group together, say, come on guys, let's move on to this next play and let's just make it happen. He's not that type of guy. And,
no, he isn't a leader. Yeah. And
I saw it on the field, but it was really interesting for me to see them say that he was a finger pointer, and that he wasn't like really a leader in the locker room. That it honestly just didn't surprise me. You can see these things on the field.
Sure.
And it's and people act like they look at the numbers and they look at they just don't want. It's like certain guys, they just don't want to broach the subject that they're not great, and it's okay to not be great. It's okay to say that Lamar Jackson isn't that good of a thrower. But you wouldn't know it by all the people in social media and all the other stuff. So I could totally see them trading him. I don't think that they're going to get 3 1s for him. I think
I was being a little bit. Yeah, I was being a little.
No, I'm just saying. I understand. I'm just saying. I don't see it. I see them getting maybe 2 1s, like this one and next year's. I could see that. Somebody just taking the chance on his athleticism, because the guy does have ridiculous ability. He's just short. He's just short. He can't see over the line, and it's going to be, you have to run your offense through rollouts and bootlegs all day, and it's just, that's not. I think the NFL has shown over the years that that's not a viable way.
No, for sure.
Russell Wilson did it because they had an ungodly run game at the time, and he got his one, and we did, and he got to another one, but because they didn't run the ball, they didn't win.
Right.
So with a guy like that, you have to have a ridiculous run game. You have to catch the defense by surprise. So that's what I think of Kyler.
No, for sure. I mean, I could see him going in a Ravens situation and succeeding. It needs to be like you said, a power run team where he gets to do what he does well, play action, naked bootlegs, exactly. and all those things that
people would forget about Lamar Jackson if he went to Baltimore.
Oh yeah, no, for sure. But and what we got now, the Seahawks.
Well, we're we'll go Seahawks. Does Russ leave? Because one of our 49er podcasters, shout out to Niner Nation, to Stats, shout out to that guy. He did an interview with Russell Wilson just 2 days ago, and he basically said it was all smoke and mirrors last season when everybody was expecting him to be asking for a trade. But this season, it's looking like he really wants out.
Well, I mean, the well's pretty dry, dude. I mean, they have nothing left on defense besides Bobby Wagner. They can't stop anybody. I mean, DK and Lockett, excellent receivers. Anybody would take them on their team. I'd take them. You'd take them. The running game has been, Penny's been for the large part a bust. Carson's a rotational guy at best. I don't even know who they have. Honestly, it feels like their running backs have been such a revolving door. I almost can't keep up with it anymore.
It's really those two, but they're always hurt. So it's just whoever they pick off the scrap heap to run that week. Believe me, right. I had Penny in fantasy, and I just saw it every week. It was a different running back. But yeah, I just think that without the running game, Russell Wilson wants to be known as one of those prolific quarterbacks, and he's just not. That. Right. That's the way I look at it. He's not a guy that can throw the ball 40 times and you win. He has to have a running game. He has to have a defense. Because even when they were winning, they weren't blowing teams out. They were winning close games. And Russ was having to come through at the end. But it was because they had beast mode and they had these running backs that were physical enough for the defense to believe that they were going to play action. Now it's just not there. He's on the run every single down because their offensive line still is trash, and then their defense can't even keep it close.
Yeah, no,
their defense is just terrible.
They're in trouble.
Yeah, I think if I'm them, I might just go ahead, trade him, get what you can get, and you'll probably at least get a couple of firsts for him, and just rebuild from there. Pete Carroll, if that happens, I expect Pete Carroll to retire.
Yeah, no, 100%. Yeah. Oh no, Pete's not going to stick around for a rebuild. I can't see it. You know who I keep thinking of when you talk about Wilson? The Steelers.
Yeah.
I mean, can't you picture it?
Yeah. I could see him there, and I could see him in Washington.
Cupboard's a little bare there. I mean, I don't know. I think he would want to.
Weapons. They've got weapons on that team. They just need a quarterback, what they do need is they still need offensive linemen, and so that's the only thing that may keep him from going. But Pittsburgh is struggling on the offensive line, so it's anywhere you go. Today's NFL, offensive linemen are few and far between. Good offensive linemen are few and far between at this point. You have to get the ball out within 2.5 seconds to be a good quarterback now. And I just think that he's not going to have a perfect situation.
Right.
So you better pick at least a place that has a good offensive system, with a good coordinator, and you better pick a team that has a defense. And I think that Washington has the makings of that. I just don't think that. I just don't know if they have all the pieces, but I think that might be the best situation for him because Pittsburgh.
It could be, it might play into if they want to trade him, in the conference or not too. Sometimes that'll play a role. Guys want to jettison them as far away as possible. Only have to deal with them once every 4 years, kind of thing, And Wilson's probably only got 3 to 4 left if he stays healthy. So. I just said for just speaking from a pure football standpoint, Pittsburgh just sort of jumps off the map for me with Wilson. But speaking of quarterbacks looking for new homes, host of mine,
I'm so happy. Happy.
Where's Trent Dilfer Jr. going, buddy?
Speaking of Pittsburgh, I think that he's going to go to either Pittsburgh. Or there's a big push. There's a big push because there was a rumor out today on Twitter that Jimmy, that Washington is saying that he wants a veteran quarterback, And they're also saying that they're very impressed with Jimmy G, and that they'd be maybe willing to give up number 11 pick overall for Jimmy. If that happens, that needs
Wow.
to be done tomorrow.
Dude,
Tomorrow.
I wouldn't care if that was in the division. If you could get that pick for him,
Yeah.
Oh my God, it's highway robbery.
Yeah, it's because as soon as I saw it, all I'm thinking is we can finally get a tackle to replace McGlinchey.
Right.
But
and look, again, I know I throw a lot of shade at Jimmy. You know, and Mr. 6-1, but remember, only one ever counted.
Yeah.
Anyways, you know, like watching this guy play, all the hype, dude, all the hype. And it was just like all the hype coming off this guy, you know, his time spent with Tom Brady and that little bit of time he played in New England, when Brady was hurt. And
yeah.
And honestly, I thought Matt Castle did as much in New England as Jimmy Garoppolo ever did. Anyways, you know, when you guys traded for him, like it didn't concern me at all. And really, what you guys did to us had nothing to do with him. You guys beat us in every way but him. He never had to win those games. The one he had to win, he lost.
Yeah.
So, you know, I really think that he is probably around the 17th and 19th. I mean, I would literally put that guy and Jared Goff neck and neck. I mean, neck and neck. I can't find a difference between the two. Honestly, they both make throws to make you go, hey, this kid can play. And then 3 plays later, they throw a pick that sticks in a guy's face mask.
Yeah.
And you're just like, wait, what?
Yeah.
And you know, again, where can he go where he's going to be that protected?
Yeah, it's not gonna. I don't see how that's even possible. But there's gonna be some team that takes him. I don't expect to get more than that. I didn't expect to get more than the 3rd for him. Like
sounds about right. 3rd round.
Like, but I mean, Sam Darnold got 2 seconds, I believe, for him, and so there's always some patsy out there that's willing to take because you know he's a winner, and for a losing franchise like Washington that's just desperate to have some kind of continuity and maybe some leadership. Jimmy will give you leadership. I will give him that. And believe me, I was not happy about the trade initially. Now I jumped on the Jimmy bandwagon when we started winning. But at the time I was not happy because I saw what he did in New England and I said, I don't think that he is going to be he got hurt right away and he's coming off this injury and now we're gonna give up a second for this guy and he's really kind of unproven. And then he came in, threw all these touchdowns, and we won games and I think that all the 49er fans were just so happy to win some games because we had nothing but losses up until that point that we all just kind of jumped on. And then he got hurt the next season, very first game. And then we had to go through a whole nother season. Then he comes back and we go to the Super Bowl. So it's really hard to figure out what he is. If he can stay healthy, I mean, he got us to the NFC Championship. Not that he got us there, but we got to the NFC Championship game with him.
Sure. Yeah.
So that's got to quantify for something. So I don't know what's going to happen. But I know that he's gone. I'm happy that he's gone because I just don't think that we were ever going to get over the hump with him because he just can't make those throws that you really need. He can't make the throws that Matt Stafford made to get you guys over the hump.
And right.
So
hey, let me ask you a question because I want to say that I heard something about it, and maybe I'm mistaken. Like I said, this playoff run is just kind of taking over my football brain. Now that we're getting into the off season, I promise I'll be a little more sharp when we start talking about random stuff here. But
yeah,
what do you think about Tennessee? Do you think that maybe they get in play for one of these guys? I mean, did they re-up Tannehill? Because Tannehill's sort of been, He's kind of been the weak link. He didn't have a great year last year. I mean, it was a good team, but I mean, couldn't you see like a Wilson in Tennessee?
Yeah, especially with Henry starting to break down finally. Like they and like because I think that's really what makes Tannehill so good is that he's got Henry and who's just an unstoppable force, and then if he goes down, we saw it this season that that they don't have Tannehill is not good enough. He's like a Jimmy. He's the same player, and like it looked like to me at least. So,
but I mean, look at Tennessee. Was Tannehill really that good? I mean, they lose Hill. I mean, they lose Henry for half the season.
I don't think they get rid of Tannehill. I don't see them getting rid of Tannehill this season.
Okay. All right.
Like
I don't know. Like it's one of those things where it's like one of those teams that just needs that last little push, you know?
If Russell had looked better down the stretch of this season, it might have been a possibility. Like but because he didn't really look Russell looked like a shell of his former self. And then Aaron Rodgers is now saying that he's either going to stay in Green Bay or he's going to retire. With those two, kind of to me, that would put them off the board for me if I was Tennessee. I think you stick it out with Tannehill, see if you can keep Henry healthy, and maybe you just build. You've got an old Julio Jones there. You might try to get draft somebody else, kind of bolster that offensive line, and just go for it again because I just don't think you make that wholesale of a change. Now I could be wrong. I'm wrong all the time. but I just don't. If I was them, I don't know if I would make that change with Russell Wilson coming off these injuries that he's been coming off of the last couple of years. I don't know that you make that wholesale of a change when Tannehill hasn't gotten hurt. Like that's one thing that
he hasn't. But I mean, you look at what the Bengals did to them, and again, the Bengals did that to everybody. They damn near did it to us. So, but you look at the AFC South this past year, the Texans could probably beat most of the high school teams in America. The Jaguars are the Jaguars. They can't even hire a coach right, and now they just hired Doug Peterson. Sweet Jesus.
Yeah.
And then you got the Colts, who sort of like. I kind of got a little bit. I watched that Hard Knocks, that midseason Hard Knocks.
Yeah.
And I kind of got into the Colts a little bit this year because I really enjoyed that midseason thing, like seeing them in the season.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
And God, what a friggin' those guys just could not get out of their own way. Talk about a team that like has talent, but just could not keep the ball rolling. Like, my God.
I really.
The point is that look how bad the South was. And Tennessee, won 11 games, 10, 11 games? I don't know.
They ended up being the number one seed in the AFC. They ended up being the number one seed with Tannehill.
It just seemed crazy to me.
And they didn't have they were missing Henry for 2/3 of the season. So like
I mean, I guess
I was just really I think that they believe they can get by with defense and a running game, because even after Henry went down, they still ran the ball with the guys that they had. And so I think that Tannehill is kind of what they want. Like they don't want a guy that's going to come in and throw the ball all around the place. Like I think they want to be that tough guy, that tough team that runs the ball down your throat and wins with running and defense. That's the type of coach that Vrabel is. I mean, he came from that Belichick tree. So
yeah, no, I hear you. I don't know. Like I said, I want to say I heard something about it after the loss that Tannehill was kind of losing some favor. I could have misread it, or maybe it was just opinion, you know.
He probably is. Like, but of course, how could he not with what happened this season against the Bengals? But
right,
I don't know. I just don't see a better option for them. It could. Weirder things have happened,
sure,
in my opinion. Like, but yeah, I don't see it. But, yeah, man, it's like once again, I'm just gonna say it like regardless of my Ram hate and my hatred for that goes so deep. Like I was happy for you and happy for the few guys that I mentioned earlier for this win, and really like looking. But now, like I'm really looking forward to draft season, and this is the time of year where I really start to get involved in and start looking at the. I've already started doing a few mock drafts, but I'll be doing a lot of research on the draft, and we really won't know anything until the combine. But yeah, I'd love to keep having you on. Like we're gonna talk draft season, like get just team building. Like we're gonna see some more coaches. Some of these coaching staffs build up.
What's a draft?
And,
What's this draft thing you're talking about?
I mean, there is a draft. There is a draft other than the first round.
Oh, they
there
still do that? They still have that in April?
I mean, you did get who last season? You got in the second round that wide receiver, right? Taylor
Tutu Atwell.
Tutu.
Yeah.
Which how can he not be good with the name Tutu Atwell?
Yeah. He returned kicks for 4 weeks and got hurt. It was great.
But yeah, I'd love to have you on. We'll talk some team building and yeah, get ready for the NFC West. I really want to build this. I really want to build this podcast around the NFC West and like getting ready for the best. I mean, we're the best division in football, so really we're the only ones that really need to talk about. So, but yeah, thanks for coming on, man. I know you're still riding high off the Super Bowl win. Thank all of you for listening and watching and putting up with all my posts on Facebook and Twitter and everything else. We're going to try and get Nate on Twitter eventually, and so he can start arguing with people. Until then, thank you guys for listening, and we will see you on the next one.
We'll see you guys, huh?